Hello and welcome, I'm Ashysource, aka Ashy, and today we're talking about the latest articles from Game Informer. One of them is about gear and armor and stuff related to that, and the other one is about romance and relationships and how they work in Veilguard, and then the last one is about nudity. So we're gonna get into all of these today. If this is the type of content you want to see, news, Dragon Age, bioware, then you're in the right place. So like and subscribe to see more. Now let's jump into it. Companions have an armor slot, a ring slot, and an accessory slot, and a weapon slot. It's strange that they gave the companions less slots than the other games, but I guess they had to change that because the game combat changed in this game, so we'll see how that works out. Rook has a lot more slots than them. Rook has a helmet slot, 2 weapon slots, a belt, an amulet slot, and 2 ring slots. That's usual in Dragon Age, but in this article they mention how it sounds odd to have a belt slot, yet if you play the other games they had belt slots, but however in this they make it that they buff potions in this game, kind of like what they were doing in Inquisition where you had to get like upgrades to upgrade how many potions you got in the game and stuff like that. So I'm guessing they did that for the belt, but this time they help like give you random occurrences to be able to have momentarily like invulnerability, and then you can also get better potions, like how many you hold, I'm guessing, in the potion in potency. I'm gonna guess they say potency, but I'm gonna guess that you can do that because I think I read somewhere else that they said that you can help you have more potions, but we'll see. The article mentions how you can replenish potions, which was shown in the gameplay reveal, where by destroying green pots you'll get more potions if you ran out of them or you used one of them. Which, I'm not gonna lie, it reminds me of Legend of Zelda getting the hearts and stuff like that by crushing pots. When creating your Rook, you can immediately view the aspirational armors, which won't play into Rook's class until mid to late of the game, so they say you can see those. I don't know what they look like, but people who played it said that they look beautiful, so we'll see when that happens. But I find it strange, but also interesting. I'll have to see, because I know in Dragon Age 2 they did show you what the armors look like, at least mostly for Magehawk, because that was the canon one, I'm guessing. We'll see more, and then I'll talk more about that. You can toggle Rook's starting gear and casual wear in the character creator, so you can get an early look of what your character will look like later in the cutscenes and how your character will look like in battle in the later journey of Veilguard. The article continues and talks about how Veilguard is bespoken to your Rook, meaning made particular for each class. So if you're a warrior Rook, you can't use your armor for a mage Rook. And they also added that if you have armor that's made for Bellar, it cannot be used for Harding. I will say this, I think that this is a little too much like Dragon Age 2, which you only could like upgrade their armor every act or something like that by doing their quests and things like that. So that was a bit strange. I'll be very disappointed because Inquisition did bring it back that any mage can use mage armor and any rogue could use rogue armor. It's just that certain weapons only worked for certain people kind of thing, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know if you can give Sarah anything. Could you? I don't know, because I didn't really bring Sarah out often, but I'm pretty sure you can give everyone something as long as they were related to their class. So if you had a mage, you can give mage different armor, but I think some of them were like, oh, if you got the elf armor, it can only use for elf, so you can use it on like Solus or your character if you were an elf. I don't think they had anything like Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition, which was a good thing because I thought this was a really good upgrade because it was more like Dragon Age Origins. But I don't know why they would do that, because all gear was like free for all as long as they had the class for it. So I find that very strange. The only one who really had big restrictions was Varric, because he had Bianca. So I don't understand why they would do this. So I'm hoping that this gear is not just locked, it's just some characters have locked stuff. Not like when you would get stuff for characters after doing their quest, they would have like locked items, like, oh, this belt is made for this character because you did their quest kind of thing. They had stuff like that. They also had in Dragon Age Origins that some of the items that they were wearing when you first got them, it was only restricted to those characters. So I hope it's just that and not that this armor is locked for this character, because that's going to get very annoying. Next is mentioned that they've seen a lot of armor that you could collect in the Arlathan Forest, and that some of it looked awesome and some of them didn't line up for the personal taste of the journalists. And so the game director tells them that there is a
transmogrification.
which is transmog for short. In the game, it's called robust, and this means that you can take an armor and its stats and apply it to a different piece of armor. Meaning, if you like the way that your armor looks and you find another one that's personally not your style, you can use the transmog that can allow you to take the stats and from the armor, the new armor that you didn't like, and use it for your current armor that you thought was stylish. So you can stay stylish and have all of the benefits from the other armor. Transmog can be used for your companions and other things, apparently. The journalist Wesley LeBlanc mentions that he didn't see it in-game, but knows that it exists, and it allows him to rest easy knowing that he can make his Rook look as fashionable as possible while saving Thetis. I'll mention that the transmog is a really interesting idea, and I want to see it more before I give all my opinions, but it does sound pretty amazing that I can be beautiful the entire game and not have to worry about my stats. Because one of the things about Inquisition I did not like was some of the armor I didn't like. I would like to wear the Dalish armor and stuff like that, or I would like to wear the armor, I think it came from buying the Game of the Year edition, and you would have like the strappy looking one that's based for like Quinari or something like that. I really like that one too. I thought it was cute, but you can't use the same stats from better armor, and a lot of the better armor was just kind of ugly in my opinion. So I'm interested to see how this works out. In the next article, I don't remember if I mentioned this before, but companions have a relationship rank that you can level up. For your Rook, you can make choices in the world or what you say to them, and it will affect how your role will level up for their relationship. Every time you rank up their relationship level with a companion, you unlock a skill point to use for their tree. They mentioned that the tree for companions have passive abilities, combat abilities, and more, but they don't go into detail. They also mentioned that companions have 3 unique paths to specializations. The quote, each companion has access to 5 abilities, but you can only take 3 into combat. It's important to strategize which abilities to spend a skill point on, and how those abilities can synergize with your current build on the battlefield. We talked about this before, but man, does it feel like they're making companions sound less and less interesting in combat? Like, 5 abilities, really? I don't know if they meant 5 abilities in their skill tree, because then that means that you have this large skill tree, yet they have such small skill trees. I don't know if this is just me reading into this weird, but is it only really 5 abilities in each skill tree for your companion? Because even in Inquisition, you had more than that. And I feel like you can level up your companions more in Mass Effect. I can't remember Mass Effect Andromeda because I've only played it once, but I feel like in Mass Effect, you can level up your companions much more because you had more like points and stuff like that to give them. I feel like it's very strange that they made them less and less. Like, come on, bioware, what are you doing? I just feel like that's way too little. I use Bellara as an example. As I mentioned before, that her arc runs parallel with Rook and informs the story and path that Rook is on. Which I'm just gonna throw a bone in this, like, just to say it, because I don't know if I'll ever be right, but am I the only one that everyone keeps saying that someone else is gonna betray Rook? And I know that they do this in every game, so if they don't, I would be surprised, but am I the only one that kind of feels like Bellara is gonna betray Rook? It's just a weird thing. Everyone's like, oh, it's gonna be Lucanus, it's gonna be the other companions. I don't know why, but because they keep saying she runs parallel, I think of Morgan and how Morgan, quote unquote, betrays you, even though she doesn't. But I feel like that's what's gonna happen, that either she's gonna leave or she's gonna do something like that, kind of like Solus, where she just disappears or something. I feel like for some reason they're gonna do something with Bellar. I don't know. The game director adds on, relationships are key, not only romance, but friendships. We wanted to lean into not just the relationships the characters have with you, but the relationships they have with each other. It's a found family, and at the end of the day, we need to trust that they have each other's back. Romance. Romance is a key part of relationships in Veilguard. They mentioned that some romances are said to get a little spicy, and to me, all I can say is meh to that. Each romance is different, and some characters could come straight to the point, or they'll come off as awkward as if they've never been in relationships before. You learn how these characters are and how their romances unfold. Romantic and platonic relationships are a way to level up your companions. Not only XP and skill points determines Rook's standing with companions, it's also having conversations with them. Article continues. Though I couldn't confirm, Dragon Age series art director Matt Rhodes hints that companions' issues, problems, and personal quests will play into the relationship level and how companions interact with Rook. All romances are open to all Rooks. I said this before, but if you give a companion the cold shoulder, they might be nudged to another romance. They did not confirm if this will lock you out of the romance, so we'll have to wait and see to see what happens. It was also mentioned that some romantic gestures, such as flirting, may not also be reciprocated. There's choices that resemble friendly, snarky, and direct. The ending of the article mentions that Veilguard is due in fall, so I'm still excited to see if we might get a release date in, the next month or so. I don't know, maybe. I don't remember when they said that Comic-Con is, but maybe we'll get a release date, because August is the end of summer, and meaning September is fall. So for people who are like, it's gonna come out in September, I don't believe it's gonna come out in September. I know that this is some marketing, okay? But this would be a little weird if they just started like doing this and then suddenly it comes out in September. I think that's a little too early. October or November is definitely the time that BioWare should release it, but definitely not September. I think that's a bit weird because that's just gonna come out really, really close, and they're still kind of hiding a little things here and there. So I think definitely I would rather wait end of October than November just to make sure this game is polished. I'm heading on to this article because this is the new one, and I'm gonna be a little uncomfortable with this one because, like I said, I don't really like that kind of stuff, but let's get into it. This article starts with the journalist LeBlanc, and he says that he learned that there was nudity in this firsthand while customizing his female rook, and that his rook's shirt disappeared while trying to customize the chest size, and that revealed the topless nudity. It's hinted that there might be more nudity in the game after the game director hinted with a smile, and then also mentioning that this is a mature RPG. When LeBlanc asked if there will be bottom nudity, they responded with, that's something it wants to let fans discover for themselves in the game. He thought that was interesting, and I also, because that's a bit strange. He didn't push forward though, and has a feeling that nudity will play a part in a lot of the romance scenes. At least that's what he says that BioWare was alluding to. He goes on to talk about how BioWare had nudity in their games before, but nothing like this, and that this might make romance scenes quite spicy, or the spiciest in the game's history. And that's about it. My thoughts. I've mentioned this before, and I had a whole video on The Sims 4, which you guys can go check out. I was talking about how I don't really usually like things that are super intimate or nudity. I don't care for those and stuff like movies, games, etc. I don't really like those things, and I hope that they add a censoring mode for people like me. I know that the journalist LeBlanc said that BioWare fans will be delighted to hear that it's a mature game, but I don't care for that. I do not delight in this type of mature content. I really hope that BioWare hears the voices of people like mine and give us a chance to play the game the way that we would enjoy it, which is adding in a censoring thing. Like, even if it's like Baldur's Gate 3 or like Bayonetta 3, where they had the naive angel mode, which I think is the most hilarious thing that you can give a censoring mode. I just hope that they will listen and give us something so we can block that kind of stuff out. The fingers are crossed for this. Continuing on just for a few more, just to talk about this, I think a lot of the stuff that they announced in these articles were pretty good. I don't mind most of the stuff that them talking about the romances and talking about that. I think a lot of this stuff was really exciting. The only things that put me off is the nudity. I don't care for that. And I don't like what they did to the companions to make it seem like they only get 5 abilities. I don't know if that's just that you unlock or that's in each skill tree, and they kind of don't give you enough to tell you. And that's why I feel like telling people an article in an article is not the best way to do it. They should have did a more in-depth way of showing it off. I get that the person got to see it, some of it at least, and then for us who's reading it, we don't know what this looks like, so some of this comes off as more negative than positive, and that's why I feel like in the ending, I feel like we need to wait a little bit more, and they really need to show stuff off, because I really don't want them to be hyping up this game and then it kind of ends up being like Anthem, where we were hyped for something and then it didn't do what we wanted because we kept getting words instead of actually showing it off. So I really hope that they show this off, because I really hope that the gameplay is really good and that's fun, not just for playing as my rook, but also having my companions there, because even Mass Effect does companions decently well. Like, I jump from Dragon Age and I can go to Mass Effect and I'm fine with it. They are obviously different in ways, but they still kind of function the same. You know what I mean? Like, they feel like they're the same thing, but you can obviously tell that you don't play as them. So it's a bit different in that aspect, but they just feel like you're leveling up these characters. They're really your companions. My only thing is that it sounds like they downgraded them so much that they don't even sound like your normal companions in BioWare games, and that's what's worrying me a bit. I don't want to be super negative, but I'm just saying that I feel like that's a bit weird what they did, and I just hope that they show it off soon, because it's getting near fall, like I said earlier, and September is fall. We have one more month of summer, technically. So if they don't have a like showcase of like some of the stuff that they're showing, then I feel like this is going to be a bit weird, and it's going to come off really badly when they start trying to sell the game and pre-ordering it. Like, I want the game, but I need to see some of the stuff that they're showing off, because I don't know what it looks like. I have no idea what this is, so I don't want to get myself extremely happy about this, and then in the end I play it and I feel like the same way I felt with Inquisition, where I was like, this game looks better than the other games, and still not the best experience I've ever had. But for this, I'm hoping that it changes for me, and I'm just like, oh, okay, this was really good, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I enjoyed everything, basically everything about it. So, yeah, that's all I got for today, and I'm going to do some more of these when they release about 2 more, if they have any more. They said 5, so I don't know exactly how many they have left, but for now, this is the most news we have recently, and if they release 2 more, or if they say that there's only going to be 1 more or something like that, then I'll talk about that one, and we'll get back into more BioWare news when they have more news. But at least for the Game Informer one, they said 5 more, and we got about, I think, 4 recently since then, I think, if I'm wrong. If not, then there's only 2 left, and I just want to make sure that I tell everyone that the news may slow down, because until Comic-Con and then other stuff, if they're going to do some more marketing and stuff like that, we don't really have that much information coming. But for now, this is all the information we have, and I'll always be coming back for the news for that. I'm going to be talking about some other games in the future for updates. I want to do some updates on stuff like the Like a Dragon game / Yakuza, and I want to do some news on other games that are coming out, because there's a few games I want to talk about because I'm actually excited for. So we'll see. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you next time. Bye.
Whoa, 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 I'm just a man missing you. Please understand, without you, I'm dying.